What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Merricks Garage. Today, build theory. We're talking about why I chose a Cummins engine for my power plant for the K30 Burb, why I chose to go with a 5-speed transmission, a bunch of other decisions that I've made, why I made them, what I'm looking to accomplish from them, and possibly some of the drawbacks and benefits that I see. It's going to be a fun episode. Make sure you're subscribed by smashing that subscribe button. Let's go get it. Let's talk about the diesel engine, why I chose a diesel, why I chose the 5.9 in particular. There's a lot of awesome engines out there, from the 8.1 liter LS based motor to the same motor I've got in the K30 Blazer, an iron block LS, the LQ9. There's also Duramax motors that are really good, and there's some new Cummins motors that are really good, but I really wanted to start with the 5.9 liter 12 valve Cummins 6BT. I think we need to roll it back a little bit here and talk about what you get with this motor that you don't get with some of the more modern powertrains. I wanted this truck to be almost like a farm implement, just like a tool for a particular use. In this case, it's going to be towing, hauling, road trips, family camping, trailer duty with the Blazer, and just all around work truck. And so a diesel was the most obvious choice. And when I started going down the rabbit hole of diesels, I realized I had an opportunity to make an EMP-proof vehicle, something that doesn't require vast arrays of electronics. In fact, it's probably going to run off just a couple wires. It's all mechanical, meaning everything in this engine is mechanically based, meaning that I can adjust it, I can tweak it, I can fix it with a basic set of tools. I wanted the Suburban to be, above all, reliable. Reliable, dependable, and bulletproof. It's never gonna be the quietest, it's never gonna be, the smoothest running, but doing what it's intended to do, which is pull heavy loads, run for days on end, and create crazy power, it does remarkably well. It's cheap to work on, it's easy to work on, parts are readily available, and it has been put in everything from tugboats to ice cream trucks to school buses and pickup trucks. The fact that you can find parts for this pretty much anywhere in the world is another blessing. And not having all the electronic controls means that it can realistically run off any diesel or oil-based fuel that I can put in it. Little known fact that diesels were actually created about 100 years ago for farmers to be able to put their own crops into their gas tanks, meaning that if they were a corn farmer, they could crush the corn, get corn oil, or however you get corn oil from corn, magic, whatever. But they take that oil, they put it in the gas tank, and it would burn, it would run on it. Now, I'm sure I'm missing some of the details, but that really appealed to me. My doomsday prepper kind of gets involved when I think of what this engine could do. But realistically, just to know that the quality of fuel wasn't really going to be it wasn't really going to affect how this engine ran. I may be down on power, but knowing that in a pinch I could put whatever I wanted in here was really cool. So I fell in love with this motor. The flexibility, the power, the options from increasing your injectors to moving to a twin turbo, to increasing my fuel flow, to increasing my governor spring and redline. All of this stuff is super easy to do and results in significant power upgrades. Like I said earlier, it's come in so many different applications that all of the bugs have been worked out. I mean, they have these engines running in irrigation huts, powering massive sprinkler systems in agricultural settings, where this thing runs at 3,000 RPM for 24 hours a day. So it's going to be perfectly within its comfort zone in the application that I intend to use it for. I love the square bodies. You guys know that if you're watching my channel. And as a result, I kind of wanted to build what I would consider the ultimate K30 burb, and having a diesel engine as the power plant was an obvious choice. I want to thank Big Bear Engine Company for partnering with me on this build. They provided me with this engine, and this is a brand new Cummins engine. What Big Bear Engine is able to do is, because all of this stuff is still produced, you can still buy, the head cover and the P-pump and the turbo. You can buy all these parts in the OEM market and some of the aftermarket. Big Bear Engines assembles all of these pieces, reassembles the engine back to factory specs, leaving you with a brand new 40-year-old engine. So big shout out to Big Bear Engines. I want to thank them for believing in me and believing in this channel and enabling me to bring this cool content to you guys. So make sure to go check them out if you are in the market for a diesel engine. There's a wide variety of automatic and manual transmissions available out there on the market, from I think it's the G56 to the Allisons to the NV4500s. There are some great automatic and manual transmissions that are built to last and perform behind the power that this engine is going to put out. So why did I go with a Tremec TR4050? Well, it's an interesting story. I was actually looking for an NV4500. I first had to find one, and I had to find a shell so that I could trade it in and hopefully get a new or remanufactured NV4500. And they were pretty expensive. I was seeing $2,000–$3,000 for a kind of worn down and beat down NV4500, and I thought, there's got to be another alternative, a more modern alternative. And that's when I stumbled across the Tremec TR4050. Tremec, you're familiar with Tremec, they produce tons of different transmissions, and the TR4050 is currently in use in the OEM market in South America, providing transmission duties behind the F550 and the 3500 and other massive one-ton full-size vehicles. So I know it has the ability to run the power, and I loved the fact that it was a 5-speed. And it was a 5-speed all-gear transmission. No computers, no crazy synchros, just an all-gear constant mesh transmission that has a 600 pound-feet torque rating at 15,000 gross vehicle weight combination. So that's an astoundingly high number for a stock transmission, and realistically probably about where I see this truck running. And 15,000 pounds total combined, that's going to be about my trailer plus the Blazer, so it's right in the sweet spot for where I want to be. And to know that OEM from the factory, it's able to handle that, boom, game on. It also comes with really low first gear and a nice healthy fifth gear. So I have the really nice low crawl ratio, and I've got a really nice high-speed cruising ratio. I've also got a transmission that has a shifter feel and engagement that doesn't feel like I'm driving a old dump truck. Feels like I'm driving my BMW, just a nice, quick, clean shift between each gears. That makes a difference. So I am excited that I'm using the Tremec TR4050. I know there's not a lot of research out there on this transmission. And I also want to thank Silver Sport Transmissions for coming alongside and providing me with this Tremec. So make sure to check them out. They are the distributor for Tremecs and the exclusive distributor, I believe, for the TR4050 and most of the other North American Tremec transmissions. But 5 speeds, not having to deal with any electronics, being in control of how my truck shifts when it shifts, that's clutch. Now, the Allison is a wonderful transmission, but I would have had to do some sort of electronic interface to make it work and play nicely with the Cummins. And that just left a bad taste in my mouth. If I'm having an all-gear, all-mechanical power plant, and I've got an all-gear, all-mechanical transmission, throwing something electronic in the middle just didn't sit right with me. And so I was really drawn to the fact that I could, with the help of Quick Draw brand, I could mate these two together as if it's an OEM application. And that kind of leads me into the next area, the running gear and the suspension. I've had a lot of people reach out and say, why are you doing leaves? Why didn't you go with a 4-link? And that's a great question. The 4-link is reliable, it's strong, it's heavy duty, it's simple. But the attraction to leaves is very high, especially leaves that have been custom designed for my build. And that's where off-road design comes in. Stephen has spec'd out springs for years. The guy has a massive database of spring rates, of lift heights, of vehicle weights, of tire combinations, and all the various things that you need to consider when you're ordering a set of custom leaf springs. So one call to off-road design, I gave them the numbers, I gave them the weight, I gave them the parts, and they ran with it and sent me a set of leaf springs that are going to be going on the truck that are custom built for this application. I don't have to worry about shock valving. I don't have to worry about nitrogen charges or anything like that. I've got some old school, super simple leaf springs, front and rear, and I'm probably going to throw an airbag in the back to help with some of the load carrying capabilities. But that's it. Once again, simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. If this thing can be fixed with a screwdriver and a belt buckle, then I am doing the right job. And so far, I think it can. So putting all of these things together, diesel engine, 5-speed transmission, 1-ton axles, leaf springs, Detroit locker, 38-inch tires, you're left with a truck that it's all go, no show. There are no frills on this. Well, not yet. There's going to be some frills later on, but for the time being, I'm building this as a work truck. A work truck that's going to be comfortable enough to drive to Utah, Colorado, wherever we want to go, but also do it while carrying a bunch of weight, towing something heavy, and being fairly economical, being heavily reliable, and easily serviceable by myself. I've got a wealth of experience on working on the square bodies, and so having the confidence that pretty much anything that comes up with this truck I should be able to tackle by myself in the field with basic tools brings me a lot of confidence to really start pushing the truck out and seeing where its boundaries might lie. I want to have confidence that I can drive this thing into the middle of nowhere and not have any concerns about whether my water pump's going to go, or whether a spark plug's on the way out, or whether I melted a plug wire, any of the other stuff that you've got to have in the back of your mind with more complex systems. I want this to be a truck first. All the other things that I have planned with it, the creature comforts to make my family more comfortable in it, those are secondary to the ultimate and main purpose, which is reliability, durability, dependability, and awesomeness. That's why I've got gold methods with 38-inch tires. That's probably not the most practical application for this truck. I mean, 38-inch mud tires under a diesel engine, but why not? It's awesome, and you know, I plan on building this thing once, and so I'm gonna build it with 38s. Anyway, that is my build theory for this truck. I've got an LS-powered K5 Blazer that's my trail rig and daily driver right now, and it's awesome, and I love everything about it, and I wouldn't change a thing. So I kind of wanted to go in the opposite direction with this. Maintain that square body heritage, the lines, the good looks, the ruggedness that the square bodies have also always brought, but then bolster it up with the running gear and powertrain, suspension and axles that it really, really needed. So far, so good. I'm really happy on how this is coming together. I've got a lot more stuff coming up. The front axle is going to be getting rebuilt shortly. The engine is going to be getting dropped back in. The transmission's going underneath. I'm going to be spraying the whole underside with sound deadener, and eventually it's going to get a paint job. But in the meanwhile, go check out some of my playlists. I got a playlist on the Burb that I'm going to put up here that's got all the Burb videos and explains, you know, why and how, and goes with me when I go to the trips to pick it up, and various other things. And I've also got some videos up here of me doing some fun stuff in the Blazer that shows why I wanted an LS in that. I'm really thrilled on this build. I'm stoked on how it's coming together, and I'm happy you guys are along for the ride. So make sure you're subscribed, drop me a comment down below. Give me a follow of my Patreon page. We'll see you soon. Merricks Garage.